Breaking news today.
Please subscribe and then check notification box to get all breaking news alerts.
Liberal news outlets have walked the line for too long with what they publish that goes against President Donald Trump and everything conservative Americans hold dear. However, now they have just grossly crossed that line, and it's come at a huge price that their nemesis has claimed a major stake in. It's the end of an era for the publication that's been a prominent part of media history for decades, but they threw it all out the window when they recently called Trump a liar, then doubled down by giving an American terrorist a special honor for an absolutely foul reason. Time magazine has become notorious for giving anti-Americans a major honor and recognition of being named Person of the Year. Without a doubt, that title should have gone to our current president, who has made massive improvements in this country in his first year in office, that even the most hateful liberals can't deny. Not that anyone expected the deeply anti-Trump liberal rag that is Time magazine to give this title, since they only put him on the cover with the slanderous headline, but they reportedly plan to give it to his nemesis instead. That proved to be a really bad idea after backlash immediately ensued when the last people they wanted to see showed up and took over. Jew-killing terrorist and Women's March leader Linda Sarsour instantly became the sweetheart of the left when she called for Trump's assassination several months back, calling on her fellow Muslims and liberals to wage jihad on the president in order to permanently stop his agenda. Prissy Hawley previously reported for Freedom Daily of the woman who is now set to be named Time's Person of the Year. It's unclear why the publication would think it was an intelligent decision to give this woman with a known radical anti-American agenda, who was the face of hate and division after she was recently arrested for her crimes. Perhaps the people at Time were impressed by Sarsour's nasty plot to cash in on the hurricane victims, luring well-intentioned Americans to donate to her hurricane relief fund, which she later used for her radical extremist group that only exists to run left-wing counter-operations against Trump. The Gateway pundit explains more on this sick decision, with specific regards to it being a move that was likely a huge middle finger to our president. Time magazine says Trump was never in the running for Person of the Year after the president claimed the magazine told him he was being considered and requested an interview. Perhaps calling for jihad against the Trump administration while pushing for Sharia law in the United States deems one a Person of the Year, says one report familiar with Time's editors. She is the picture, the image of everything gone to pot over the past nearly 12 months, Israel National News reported. Time's editors won't put it that way, of course. They will ascribe to her, this so-called Palestinian American, all the glories of the women's movement, whatever that is anymore. But they do march for equality, of this sort we find in certain Islamic countries where all women are equally put to death for disobedience. Like forgetting to wear that special veil, which Sarsour never forgets, even though some might say it signifies bondage rather than emancipation. Sarsour is a leader in all that, and she is front and center in the resistance movement against Trump, Israel National News added. Time's editors love that about her. She hates Trump. What more can you ask when you are part of old media? This rumored nomination comes at the conclusion of a series of really bad decisions by the magazine that seems to exist simply to stick it to conservatives and now our president, which is why it's no surprise that the once respected publication has now gone the way of the NFL. With profits down, they needed someone to come in and save the day, and the ones there to do it were none other than the Koch brothers. The New York Times reports, with upset, over this buyout. The Meredith Corporation, the owner of Family Circle, Better Homes and Gardens and All Recipes, agreed to purchase Time Incorporated in an all-cash transaction valued at nearly $3 billion. The deal was made possible, in part, by an infusion of $650 million from the private equity arm of Charles G. and David H. Koch, the billionaire brothers known for using their wealth and political connections to advance conservative causes. The deal could represent the beginning of the end for one of the country's most celebrated magazine publishers, whose titles commanded the attention of global leaders and chronicled world events, sometimes with striking photography. It also brings together two companies that have long courted different audiences, seeking readerships that echo the places they called home. The funny thing about this move is that liberals should be celebrating the fact that the Koch brothers are backing this buyout, since they love some of the same things that lefties do, such as amnesty, and are big supporters of free trade, two things Trump is avidly against. Charles and David Koch opposed Trump during the Republican primary season and refused to help him during the general election, as Breitbart reports. They also happened to have a close friendship with Harry Hurt III, who wrote a slanderous book about Trump in 1993 that brimmed with disgusting rape accusations about the wealthy businessman who is now our president-elect. However, since they own a corporation with wholesome, family-promoting publications, they are upset that Time magazine, as we know it to be today, could be changed in a way that actually supports many of the things Trump stands for, which is beautifully ironic.